Ladies and gentlemen, due to the rain and some traffic, we still have a slight delay. Please bear with us. We might be 5 minutes more. Thank you.
Is it okay? Ukienda kuandika report alafu unakosa picha. Sasa hiyo ndio unatakaga kujiongelesha.
At times tuna struggle with it.
Yeah.
But I'll share them right away.
Yeah, yeah.
So nasikia unfortunately ilikuwa during hiyo
Then from
He was here inside. Was in the picture.
yeah, then from
all of us.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's fine. Capture kweli.
The screen is big.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Please take your seats. Let me, first of all, apologize to each and everyone for being quite late, I must say. It is not in my habit, but I had to face a heavy traffic jam and also to attend to a few issues regarding Parliament, which is sitting this morning, and ensure that everything is set for my absence in Parliament today, and I apologize for that. It took more time than I expected, and before we start our session, we had the Bureau meeting of this morning and discussed several issues, including the timetable of the committee's work. And the revised timetable is now published on the 13Com website. Yesterday, we successfully concluded items 1 to 7A, including item 10B41, not foreseen on our initial timetable. I'm sure you will all agree that the two Koreas case is an extraordinary achievement of our convention. Keeping the good atmosphere, let us now concentrate on the rest of our business. Given that we did not manage to complete examination of item 7B today, we will begin by resuming our debate on 7B, and I expect to adopt the decision as a whole for each of the reports. Then we will move to the items 7C, 8 to be concluded this morning. In the afternoon, we will examine item 9, and if everything goes according to the revised schedule, we will then move to the report of the evaluation body. This report will keep us busy until Friday morning. Dear colleague, before we resume the examination of 7B, allow me to give the floor to Norway as observer. I was informed that Norway wished to intervene yesterday, but was not given the floor. Norway, please accept our apologies. We did not see your nameplate at the right moment. The floor is now yours. Norway.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair, for giving us the floor today. First of all, we wish to thank Mauritius for a warm welcome and a great hospitality. We also want to thank the Secretariat for an excellent work you are doing. In the report from the Secretariat, you highlight some of this important work. Norway are pleased to see that the Secretariat are planning for actions to raise awareness about ICH among organizations and stakeholders working on issues related to indigenous peoples. Especially communication activities to be held during the 18th session of the UN's Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues in 2019 is of importance. It may be interesting for the Secretariat, for the committee, the observers and the NGOs to be informed that our colleague from the Sami Parliament is joining the Norwegian delegation here in Mauritius. We are really looking forward to exchange ideas and practices with you all the next days. Thank you again, Mr. Chair, for giving us the opportunity to come with this announcement.
Thank you, Norway, and thank you for your very kind words. Let us now resume our examination on item 7b, examination of the reports of state parties on the current status of elements inscribed on the list of intangible cultural heritage in need of urgent safeguarding. Yesterday, we were able to listen to the presentation from the Secretary on the overview of the 16th report. We also had the time for a few interventions from the floor. Let us now move to the individual decisions. The first was submitted by Azerbaijan on Chovkan, a traditional Karabakh horse riding game in the Republic of Azerbaijan. May I have the draft decision up on the screen, please?
You have to say we have received an amendment. You have to say we have received.
Let me, at the very outset, state that we have received a draft amendment from the Republic of Armenia. And I don't know if is it going to be shown on the screen? Or will Armenia take the floor, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can I make explanation of our position regarding this draft decision? Mr. Chairman, with reference to the agenda item 7b, we would like to state the following. Contrary to the purpose and the spirit of UNESCO, and particularly the Convention for the Safeguarding of the Intangible Cultural Heritage, and the latest efforts of the Director General Audrey Azoulay to depoliticize UNESCO agenda, we must clearly acknowledge that Azerbaijan continues politicizing this framework and abusing it with the aim of extending dividing lines also in sphere of culture. Contrary to the mentioned decisions, which you will see in our draft amendments, the report of Azerbaijan presented by the draft decision 13-7b1 on the status of the element Chovgan is full of ungrounded, false and inappropriate allegations targeting my country. Instead of focusing on the topic of its report, namely the Chovgan game, Azerbaijan has spared no efforts to somehow connect again to the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict and thus introduce its ill-minded conflict narrative in the report. We resolutely reject all allegations contained therein, which fully contradict the reality and the position of the international community, which is reflected in the statements of OSCE Minsk Group co-chairs, the only internationally agreed format dealing with the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. When Azerbaijan inscribed Chovgan, a traditional Karabakh horse riding game in the Republic of Azerbaijan back in 2013, the decision for which was undertaken in Baku, we warned the committee and the Secretariat that this is a politicized and very sensitive nomination. We were told that there was nothing political in the nomination. However, the report on the status of the element presented by Azerbaijan illustrates that the concerns of the Armenian side were fully justified. Azerbaijan indeed pursued an exclusively political aim of speculating the very name of Karabakh, thus proving our concerns. Armenia reiterates its principal position on unacceptability of misusing the platform of UNESCO to promote any conflict perceptions. We strongly believe that issues which belong to the conflict resolution should be addressed within their respective formats and should not be used and include UNESCO for blame games and thus impede international cooperation. We call on the state parties and also members of the Intergovernmental Committee to react to the irresponsible conduct of the Azerbaijani side. Taking into account the above mentioned, Armenia requests Secretariat to return the report to the relevant state for corrections and adjustments to the norms and principles of the ICH Convention and operational directives for the implementation of the Convention in accordance with the decisions 9.5a and also draft decision 5.6. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Azerbaijan, you wish to... Wait.
Please explain where are they prepared to change the whole draft decision with this? Is this their proposal?
You mean that you wish to replace the initial draft decision and replace by this one, or to include, please?
Mostly not all the paragraphs, but as you see, we would like to include these paragraphs in the draft decision, and also we will work on the draft decision of the original version and delete some paragraphs as well. So if you want to incorporate, we can work on the text as it is, or to discuss Armenia's draft amendments as proposed.
If they would like us to study paragraph by paragraph.
Do you wish that we go paragraph by paragraph, or are you coming with some amendment, or?
We would like to open the draft decision of Azerbaijan paragraph by paragraph.
Paragraph by paragraph. Yes, I understand that Azerbaijan wishes to just take the floor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, dear members of the committee. Yesterday, we agreed to postpone this draft decision to the deliberation on this item with a clear understanding and that delegation Armenia will abide by common sense and will refrain from inserting politically motivated amendments to the draft decision. But again, I think we failed in our expectations. Almost 3 years that Armenia is, as a committee member, is trying, misusing its membership rights in the committee and hijacking the session by introducing very politically motivated issues to the agenda, and I believe that the committee should not be taken hostage of this agenda, political agenda, which is mainly used for the domestic consumption. But when it comes to the allegations that delegation of Armenia just right now voiced, I would like to say that this is a national report, and this report is presented in conformity with the obligation to report on the element inscribed on the urgent safeguarding list every 4 years after the inscription. So Azerbaijan made a huge effort to involve all stakeholders, including the community representatives concerned with the element in the preparation of this report. What methodology we used during the preparation of this report? We collected the data from all stakeholders through the surveys and interviews. And according to the information that we have received from the community members, which are mainly those persons that are practicing this heritage, subjected to the forcibly displaced situation because of the military conflict and the occupation of the territories. So the factual information that the report presents, the report presents the factual information and the concerns expressed by the communities practicing the Chovgan game. So in these interviews and the surveys, the communities explicitly raised their concerns with the scarcity of the Karabakh horse breed, playing an important role in this game. And this fact is outlined in the nomination dossier and in report very clearly. And this scarcity of the Karabakh horses is closely linked with the destruction of the horse breeding factory in Agdam, which had played a huge role in sustaining the breed and the game in the past. And this factory is right now under the occupation and beyond the control of Azerbaijan. Concerning the inconsistency with the UN Charter, I would like to draw the attention to one of the fundamental principles of the international law, which is the territorial integrity. We wish to remind that Article 2.4 of the UN Charter states that all members shall refrain in their international relations from the threat or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state. In the case of safeguarding Chovgan game, the intangible heritage element bears in itself the direct consequences of the act of occupation by another state against its integrity. This state preventing the access of communities concerned to the natural environment of the game. And as I said, this was made very clearly by the communities during the interview process and the surveys done by the Ministry of Culture of the Republic of Azerbaijan during the preparation of the report. I would like also to remind the committee that this convention is a community-based convention, and it is one of the fundamental principles of the 2003 convention is to give the voice to the communities and respect their views on how the viability of the heritage is safeguarded. So Azerbaijan has closely followed this principle, and this has been duly reflected in the report. When it comes to the inconsistency with the nomination and the report, let me tell you that in the nomination, it was explicitly reflected that the following threats impacted the viability of the element. First, decrease the number of trainers and practitioners. Second, devaluation of the cultural value of Chovgan as a traditional practice in the past. Third, urbanization processes within the country. And most importantly, fourth, shortage of horses of Karabakh breed. I can tell you that out of these four threats, two are indirectly or directly impacted by the military conflict and subsequent occupation of the territories. Namely, the urbanization process, as the communities that practice this element were forcibly displaced from their natural environment and forced to change their location. And second, as I said earlier, the destruction of horse breeding factory, which led to the shortage of the Karabakh horses, which is one of the important elements of this game. So this is why the report, among other threats, is clear about the fact that the natural environment of Karabakh breed horses is de facto beyond the control. I would also advise to our colleagues from Armenia to look at the item which is presented by the Secretariat on the intangible cultural heritage in emergencies. So there they will find a very clear information how conflicts and displaced and forcible displaced of the communities negatively impact the viability of the elements. Then I think they will have no questions about how the conflict in Karabakh and subsequent occupation impacted negatively the viability of Chovgan Karabakh horse riding game. So we just followed the feedback of our communities that explicitly mentioned these threats. I thank you very much. And I would like to add that my delegation, with this in mind, my delegation totally rejects the amendments by the delegation of Armenia, and we would appreciate that the committee will stick to the technical decision proposed by the Secretariat. I don't think that it is right place, right moment for us to get embroiled in these political debates and thus contaminating our committee and contaminating the spirit of this convention. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Armenia, for your statement.
No, Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan for your statement. I see that there is Armenia and Palestine who wishes to take the floor. I'll just give the floor to Armenia. And please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to make some remarks regarding the statement which was beforehand. When we talk about non-contaminating this committee, we should watch our own actions. In this case, the actions of the state which represented this report. We don't think that this is just a purely technical report because the name Karabakh, as we already said, is used only for political reasons. I would like to pose a question to the Secretariat. When they received the report, almost 10 paragraphs of which refer to the conflict and also contains a language which is not accepted by the international community. How was their perception? How did Secretariat accept this kind of report? When we talk about intangible cultural heritage, Armenia stands ready to support any kind of nominations besides political ones. When we talk about conflict and its root causes, and when we think about UN Charter, we should think about Article 1 of your Charter, which talks about the fundamental human rights and freedoms of people, their rights to self-determination, and also their full rights to enjoy their cultural, educational rights as well. So in this case, we want to reiterate that this is not about military occupation. The conflict has a different roots, and we should stick to AC Minsk co-chairs format, and this is the only format that this conflict should be addressed within. So we think that the Chovgan game, which is included in Azerbaijan's inventory, national inventory as Chovgan game, made up as if they play Chovgan game only with Karabakh horses, is just a political misinterpretation of the element. In the sense regarding the communities, when we talk about communities, we should not forget about the communities who lived there and were forcibly removed. So this is regarding the points raised by this member state. And I would like to reiterate again, this is not Armenia who wants to put committee into political games, and also UNESCO. We would like to reiterate our position that this report is unacceptable. We do accept that this is national report made on behalf of this member state, but this report is unacceptable. None of the paragraphs within which I have presented are accepted by our country. This contains just one-sided allegations which have to be removed. So I reiterate our position not to have a precedent for the future, to return this report and to adjust it to the norms. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Palestine.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Je pense qu'on peut passer toute la journée à entendre les deux parties dialoguer, entre guillemets. Malheureusement, j'ai de l'expérience dans ce genre de débat, dans ce genre de situation. C'est malheureux, mais c'est comme ça. Et je pense qu'on peut passer la journée, on n'arrivera pas à un consensus. Par conséquent, on a entendu les deux parties, on comprend bien la position de chacun, et je ne pense pas qu'on va résoudre le problème ici. Par contre, pour avancer notre travail, moi, je demande la clôture du débat et je demande l'adoption de la décision telle qu'elle est, et je vous demande de prendre note et d'inclure dans votre rapport oral les deux statements qu'on a entendus de l'Arménie et de l'Azerbaïdjan, et on peut inclure tout ce qui a été dit et tout ce qui a été soumis par les deux parties. Merci, Monsieur le Président. Et j'espère que les autres collègues me soutiennent. Merci.
Okay. There is a move to closure, and do we... Philippine, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson. And we also have listened very closely to the debate. We take note of the important statements made. Our colleague from Palestine moved to close the debate, which we second in accordance with Rule 32 of the Rules of Procedure. Thank you.
Djibouti, please.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Juste pour dire que je suis d'avis avec la Palestine et la Philippines.
Après, il y a deux. Allow me to read the rules.
Excusez-moi, Djibouti, vous allez pouvoir répéter, s'il vous plaît?
Merci, Monsieur le Président. C'était pour dire que je soutenais la position de la Philippine et de la Palestine.
And we just give the floor to the Secretariat to know what is the way forward in the light of the motion of Palestine, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. A reference was made to Rule 32, closure of debate. Rule 32 says a state member of the committee may at any time move the closure of the debate, whether or not any other speaker has signified his or her wish to take part in the discussion. If application is made for permission to speak against the closure, it may be accorded to not more than 2 speakers. The chairperson would then have to put the motion for closure. Therefore, the chairperson may wish to ask if there's application against closure of the debate.
Yes. In line with the rule which has just been read by the Secretariat, I'll have to now know if there is any member against the motion of closure as presented by Palestine and seconded by Philippines and also Djibouti. Yes, Armenia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We would like to reiterate our position to discuss the draft amendments presented by Armenia and not to consider Azerbaijan's report only. So regarding the debate, we will ask for the floor again regarding the amendments presented by Armenia.
No, which means that you are against the closure of the debate. You should put it clearly, so that.
Is anybody else? Does anybody else?
Yes. Is the motion of Armenia seconded?
So the debate has to be closed.
In that case, I understand that we have to close the debate on that score.
There is no secondment. There is no secondment.
We have got 2 motions, one for closure, seconded by 2 members, and Armenia, who is against the closure of the debate. In that case, I'll have to close the debate according to the rules.
The decision is suspended and we continue. This debate is closed. The decision is suspended and we continue to the next item. And the debate will be. Okay. Don't say the decision. Just say we close the debate.
Debate suspended. In line with the rules, debate on this subject is suspended, and we will have to move to the next item on our agenda for today. Armenia. Azerbaijan, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think we close the debates, but we have to proceed to the adoption of the decision. The decision is still not yet adopted, so we have to proceed to the adoption of the decision. So we close the debate, but the adoption of the decision is still pending. So I seek your indulgence and ruling in line with how the members of the committee expressed their views. So we close the debates, but we will proceed to the adoption of the decision. And according to the established practice, the amendments proposed by the one delegation should be backed and supported by the half of the committee members. This is the established practice. Thank you.
No, in that case, we go to the amendment, and of course, then the debate is suspended, but we'll have to consider the different paragraphs, and of course, then we'll have to know the decision of the committee. Which means that we are going to go paragraph by paragraph while the debate is suspended. Yes, Palestine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Now I'll refer to another rule in the rules of procedure asking the adjournment of the debate on this item. I'm not going to say it's sine die, but maybe we can say till tomorrow. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Now Palestine comes with another motion for the adjournment of the debate on this particular item. Now we have another.
Okay, one may speak in favor,
motion.
one may speak against the motion.
And according to the rules, we can have one member speaking against and one in favor of the motion. I see Armenia, who catch my attention, and then Azerbaijan. Yes, Armenia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before we proceed with deliberations, adjournment, or consideration of our draft amendments, I have posed a question to the Secretariat regarding receiving the report and also actually the paragraph therein, and I didn't receive any reply. So I want to see the clear position of the Secretariat regarding the reporting system, how it's done, and what kind of language is considered irrelevant or relevant. Thank you.
Though that the debate is closed, I believe that... I can
answer. Sorry, point of order.
Yes, Azerbaijan on a point of order.
Mr. Chairman, I think we close the debate. There is no room to ask the questions and to repeat the questions and to seek the answers to these questions. I think with your wise ruling, I would propose to put the amendments presented by the delegation of Armenia to the committee's consideration, and that's it, without any debates on the amendments, on explanation of these amendments, why they presented it. It is already done by them. So what we need is that you will present the amendments that submitted by the Republic of Armenia to the committee members for their consideration and support or not support, and that's it.
In fact, the debate is now closed, but if there is any member who objects to any clarification being offered by the Secretariat, I can't go against the rules. But we are now in the presence of another motion from Palestine for the adjournment of the debate on this issue. I wish to know, yes, Palestine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It seems that even if we leave time for discussion and mediation between the two parties, it wouldn't be efficient. So in that case, just for the sake of time and in order to avoid wasting time, because if we go now paragraph by paragraph, there might be vote on some paragraphs one by one, and this will take time. In that case, I request a secret ballot on the adoption of the DR as it is or amended? This is the question. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Now we have a formal motion from Palestine.
Point of order.
Yes, point of order from Azerbaijan.
Yes, I appreciate the efforts of our colleagues from Palestine, but I don't see the sense of having a secret ballot on this. If there is a clear procedure established in this committee that amendments presented by the delegation are being discussed by the committee, and if there are support of the committee, then it is accepted and adopted. If there is no support to these amendments, they are not supported. So why we should complicate and go to the secret ballot or voting, etc.? There is no need for that.
Sorry, sir. Yeah, actually...
Yes. Kuwait, please.
Good morning. This is the first time we take the floor, and it's not the time to say thank you to everyone. The debate is heated. I think we are complicating the things by going, to an option over an option. What I see, we had Rules 32, it was approved, the debate is closed, we have a report has been submitted by a state country, and we have a draft amendment submitted by another state countries. Let's take a decision on this. So you have the report, and you have an amendment. So either the amendment accepted or not, without going in more complicated issues. Thank you, Mr. President.
Kuwait.
So he's proposing we look at the amendment and see whether it's accepted. Ask him.
Yes, the first issue now is that we have a report. We have Armenia coming with amendment to the report, which we have on in front of us. But do we have a member seconding the motion of amendment as presented by Armenia?
Okay, 1 minute. So
we are now discussing the amendment proposed by Armenia.
just 1 minute, please.
Yes, Cuba.
Sí, gracias, señor presidente. Hemos estado siguiendo el debate, hay muchas propuestas sobre la mesa, pero sería importante que usted definiera también si vamos a ir párrafo por párrafo, porque ahora estamos viendo un grupo de enmiendas, pero sería bueno conocer cuál va a ser el procedimiento que usted propone o que usted sugiere para examinar el proyecto de decisión, que históricamente lo vemos párrafo por párrafo. Y si en algún párrafo hay una enmienda, pues esa enmienda se propone en ese párrafo. Pero yo le propondría, por favor, que tengamos un orden en el momento de adoptar el proyecto de decisión. Muchas gracias.
Yes, Philippine, point of order.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairperson. Just, I think our colleague from Cuba, I think, said the correct way forward. Also, in view of the views of the states parties concerned, maybe the best thing is to, and for transparency, to go paragraph by paragraph at this stage and do the usual procedure of the committee. Thank you.
Palestine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It seems that my proposal was badly understood, and it seems to be more clear to go paragraph by paragraph, even if it will take time. So I support going paragraph by paragraph. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. We go paragraph. Armenia, yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we would like to go paragraph by paragraph,
Exactly.
and also we would like, with your permission, to make clarifications regarding our draft amendments if necessary. Thank you.
Okay. To move, as there is consensus now that we are going to consider paragraph by paragraph the amendment proposed by Armenia. Can we have it on the screen, please? Having examined document ITH 1813, COM7B, any amendment to paragraph 1? I see no amendment. Accepted. Recalling chapter 5 of the operational directives and its decision 8COM7A1. Any objection? Approved. expresses its thanks to Azerbaijan, Armenia.
Takes note of the report, timely submitted report. So we would like to delete expresses its thanks because we cannot thank Azerbaijan for such a politically biased report. So takes note of the report.
We have now the amendment proposed by
It's coming.
Armenia, which appears on the...
No, it's not ready. Just he's still doing it. But
Okay.
ask for the floor.
I'm waiting for it to be properly drafted and presented on the screen. I give the floor to Cuba. No, Azerbaijan first and then Cuba.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I again rely on your wise ruling. I think if we will go by paragraph, we will be stuck in this presenting the amendments to the new amendments that were not in the presented before. Right now, they're presenting new amendments. So let's adopt the decision. Let's consider the amendments that initially presented by the Republic of Armenia in substance, and then if it is accepted or not, then we can go forward with the rest.
Kuwait, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I haven't seen in front of me a draft amendment saying to go paragraph by paragraph. All I saw is to return the report to the state party, and I think we should take decision on that. I haven't seen anything written saying, to go paragraph by paragraph. So to be legally correct in our decisions. So the draft submitted by one of the state parties, Armenia, is to return the report.
Cuba.
Sí, gracias, señor presidente. Quisiera hacer una pregunta a la Secretaría, porque tenemos que tener cuidado cuál es la media que utilizamos y el lenguaje que utilizamos para todos los proyectos de decisión y para todos los países que presentan informes. O sea, podríamos estar cayendo en una singularización cuando normalmente lo que se le pide, se le expresa a los estados es el agradecimiento por presentar este informe. Entonces yo creo que tendríamos que cuidar un poco también las formas y no crear precedentes que cambien o modulen el lenguaje que normalmente utilizamos para estas decisiones, y le pedimos a Armenia que quizás reflexione un poco sobre esto. Hay enmiendas de fondo que pueden ser examinadas, pero también hay un lenguaje acordado que se utiliza para todas las decisiones, y podríamos estar creando un precedente de cara a los próximos, a las otras decisiones que tienen que ver con informes de otros Estados miembros. Muchas gracias.
Yes, thank you. Yes, Armenia.
With regard to the comment made by a delegate from Kuwait, I would like to make it clear that committee member can make any amendments to the draft decision at any point. Thank you.
I believe there is general consensus that we should go paragraph by paragraph. And we have now a motion to amend paragraph 3. And we have also the views of Cuba, which states that we should be very cautious whenever we are amending so that we don't create any bad precedent. This is where I understand the situation is right now. Insofar as Azerbaijan is concerned, we agreed that there has been broad consensus that we should go paragraph by paragraph, and this is how I believe we should be proceeding. Okay, Palestine, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Of course, if we go paragraph by paragraph, it will take time and it will be puzzling, but I support the intervention of our colleague from Cuba. This is a technical issue, and for the other draft decisions relating to the reports, it will be adopted, as you mentioned, as a whole, since it is a technical decision. And the language, I agree, it is a standard language. So I support keeping the standard language and the character of this decision as a technical one. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
But do we have any secondment to the motion of Armenia, first of all? Because what I understand now is that we have a motion to remove expresses its thanks. Cuba has some reservation, Palestine has some reservation, but we still do not have a secondment to the initial motion. This is what I understand at this stage. Because we can't consider any motion without it being seconded, first of all. Cuba, please.
Una clarificación. Gracias, señor presidente. No nos cuestionamos el derecho que tiene cada delegación de modificar cada palabra de un proyecto de decisión, y quiero aclararlo a la distinguida colega de Armenia. Es un derecho que tenemos todos los estados de cambiar cada palabra. Eso lo respetamos y por eso estamos de acuerdo que fuera párrafo por párrafo. Pero a lo que nos referimos es a otra cosa. Y quizás yo no me expresé bien. Nos referimos a un lenguaje acordado y un lenguaje que utilizamos para la adopción de estos informes, y que hay otros informes en el documento que estamos aprobando. Por eso apelamos a la delegación de Armenia que comprenda que es un tema de formas y no de fondos. Y eso quería clarificar. Muchas gracias.
Yes, Armenia.
Thank you very much for distinguished delegate of Cuba for her constructive proposals. But I would like to ask something to all the members of the Intergovernmental Committee. We are talking about not making any precedents change thanks to takes note, which is more, I do agree, of a technical issue, but in this case is not. But what if we are adopting a decision and accepting this kind of biased and political report? And I'm quite sure that all the members have received the non-paper of Armenia and also all the paragraphs of the language within. So I think this is another precedent for UNESCO to have this kind of report adopted. So this is a question. And we think that we should not come to this issue as just purely technical thing, but we should go into depths of the report. Thank you.
May I just remind all members that we have closed the debate. The debate is closed, but now we are coming to the amendment. And we should not, from the back door, now open a debate which has been closed, in whatever you state. Now, is there a secondment to the amendment as proposed by Armenia? I take good note of what Cuba stated. The member made her point clear. She clarified her point, that she is agreeable that we should go paragraph by paragraph, but having regard to what has been the standard, she just raised some concern. But it is still premature for me to debate on a motion for amendment if we don't have a secondment on that motion. It is not seconded so far.
No, is there a secondment?
Is there a secondment to the motion of Armenia as you have it now to delete expresses its thanks to Azerbaijan to submitting on time the first and replacing by takes note of the report submitted by Azerbaijan? We have here a formal motion from Armenia to that effect.
There's no secondment. Okay,
if there is no secondment, we can't debate this issue further. Is there any other Cuba?
Gracias, señor presidente. Comprendo la intención de facilitar nuestras decisiones, pero no podemos simular una votación. Creo que todos sabemos que tenemos un derecho a pronunciarnos a favor o en contra de una enmienda, pero corresponderá a usted hacer la lectura de esta sala porque corremos el riesgo de parecer que estamos en una votación cuando impugnamos si estamos a favor o en contra de una propuesta, aunque no tengamos una urna o no tengamos una boleta en la mano. Confiamos en su lectura, que estoy segura que hará correcta del consenso que hay en esta sala. Muchas gracias.
Notre ami de Djibouti veut intervenir.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. La République de Djibouti participe pour la première fois au comité intergouvernemental, quand bien même dans le passé nous avons été parmi les pays invités par l'UNESCO comme observateurs. Néanmoins, donc, disposant d'une certaine expérience en la matière, j'ai constaté depuis les différentes sessions du comité intergouvernemental qu'à chaque fois le terme exprimer ses remerciements était un terme conventionnel, qui c'était plus ou moins un peu accepté généralement. Donc je ne sais pas pourquoi aujourd'hui, pour des raisons autres que techniques, on voudrait changer en incluant prendre note, au lieu de dire d'accepter d'abord exprimer ses remerciements. Par la suite, et s'il y a des amendements à faire, on peut les faire de manière un peu plus approfondie.
Mais il n'y a pas de débat à ce stade. À ce stade, il n'y a pas de débat. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're just beginning the discussion on the draft decision, and it could take a very, very long time. So just to try to facilitate our work, but to also keep, the traditional standards of transparency and efficiency in the committee, we would like to make a procedural suggestion that the distinguished delegate of Armenia could kindly present all her amendments to the draft decision as a whole. And then the committee then, as a whole, look at the package of amendments and decides whether to accept them or not. This might facilitate our work, and then we could swiftly move forward. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Palestine.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Je pense que la proposition de notre collègue de la Philippine va nous épargner une perte de temps considérable. Donc je soutiens la proposition. On suspend seulement 5 minutes on ne suspend pas la séance, seulement l'examen de ce DR jusqu'à ce que l'Arménie présente tous ses amendements et le présente au comité un seul package, qu'on décide dessus. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Cuba, please.
Gracias, señor presidente. También apoyamos la propuesta de Filipinas y debemos terminar de definir el lenguaje acordado para el primer párrafo y le pediríamos a Armenia su flexibilidad para ello, pero aprobamos, por supuesto, y apoyamos la propuesta de Filipinas aprobada por Palestina.
Thank you, Cuba, and I'm most grateful for all member states who are very helpful to try to come to a solution on that very particular situation which we are facing today. I am most grateful to that, and we are trying to be very constructive. I appreciate your effort, and as you realize, that is a very exceptional situation we are facing today. And if there is broad consensus that we should suspend and let Armenia come with a formal amendment which is duly circulated, I'm minded to suspend this consideration of this particular report at this juncture. But before that, I'll give the floor to Azerbaijan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is actually what my delegation is trying to explain, that first there was a first bunch of the amendments, which we thought that it is the final. Then we saw that according to the paragraph debates, they have more amendments. So we have to get the all amendments and then to give this to the committee for the final decision on this. So I support the proposal of Philippines and Palestine and others, but I can kindly ask you to suspend this meeting just for I don't know, 5-10 minutes, but no more, because we don't want to prolong this issue for another half day or I don't know. So we need to be cautious of the procedures, and let's stick to what is proposed and accepted and supported by the committee. Thank you.
Yes. In light with all members who have intervened and taking note of the mood in among all members present here, I believe that at this juncture we are going to suspend consideration of this report and request Armenia to come with all the amendments which is going to be duly circulated so that we know exactly what are those amendments. And I propose that we move to the next item, and that at the end of all the reports, we'll come back with the report of Azerbaijan, and by then we will have due notice of all the amendments as proposed by Armenia. This will allow us to move efficiently and to know exactly what is the exact situation on that score. I'll give the floor to Armenia, and then we have to take a decision. I don't want that we just drag on that particular issue. Please, Armenia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for your patience as well. So you want us to incorporate our amendments in the draft decision 13.7b1, like to present in one document, not as additional amendments to incorporate it in one document and present it to you. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I thank everybody for being very cooperative and Kuwait, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. But I don't think that was the attention of Philippines. I just want to make sure that was the attention of the Philippines. Please.
Yes, this was the intention of Philippines. Therefore, we suspend consideration of this report, and we are going to take it at the end of the list. Now, may we move? Okay. Before we move to consider the second report.
Okay, at the end.
Okay. Yes. Let us move to the second report submitted by Belarus on right of the Karayadi Tsar, Christmas Tsar. May I have the draft decision up on the screen, please? Can we move towards adopting the decision 13.7b2 as a whole? I see no objection. Adopted. The third report is submitted by Brazil. Yaokwa, the Inawene Nawe people's ritual for the maintenance of social and cosmic order. Do we have the draft decision on the screen? Any amendments being proposed? I see none. Decision 13.7b3 is adopted. The fourth report is submitted by France on Cantu in Pagela, a secular and liturgical oral condition of Corsica. We have the draft decision on the screen. Can we move now to adopt decision 13.7b4 as shown on the screens. I see no objection. Adopted. Now we move to the fifth report submitted by Guatemala on non-pache ceremony. May I have the draft decision up on the screen, please? Can we adopt decision 13-B5 as shown on the screen? No objection. Adopted. The sixth report is submitted by Kenya. Traditions and practices associated with Kayas in the sacred forest of Mijikenda. The draft decision is on the screen. Can we adopt decision 13-7B6 as shown? No objection. Adopted. The seventh report is submitted by Kazakhstan on Ala Kiyiz and Shridak out of Krigev traditional felt carpets. Sorry for the pronunciation. May I have the draft decision on the screen? Now it appears on the screen. Do we adopt it? Any objection? Adopted. The eighth report was submitted by Latvia on Shuitu cultural space. May I have the draft decision? Can we move to adopt decision 13-7B8 as a whole? No objection. Adopted. The ninth report is submitted by Mali on Sakemon, collective fishing right of the Sanke. Draft decision 13-7B9. I see no objection. Adopted. Report from Mauritania on Moorish epic Tidene. Report, draft decision 13-7B10. Can we adopt it as a whole? No objection. Adopted. We have 4 reports from Mongolia. May I ask the committee to adopt as a whole the first decision of Mongol Tuili Mongolian epic as shown on the screen. These are under decision 13-7B11. No objection. I therefore declare decision 17-7B12 adopted. No. C'est bien ça?
B11. Yeah, 12 is okay.
C'est 12 ici, c'est 11.
Which one? 11 and 12. Which one did you just do, sorry?
Celui-là.
Yeah, okay, so to adopt it.
11 et 12.
It's 11.
It is 11.
Yes,
17-7B11 adopted.
No, leave this. B13. On est le 11, maintenant 12. 12. You can see there.
Okay. 17-7B11 adopted. May I now ask the committee to adopt as a whole the decision on Mongol BELG, Mongolian traditional folk dance, as shown on the screen. Decision 13-7B12. Any objection? Adopted. Moving on the third report from Mongolia on traditional music of the zoo. May I have the draft decision, please? Decision 13-7B13. I see no objection. Adopted. The last report submitted by Mongolia on Mongolian calligraphy. We have the decision, the draft decision on the screen. No objection. Adopted. The 15th report was submitted by Uganda on Mpakao tradition of the Buturu, Banyoro, Bantuku, Bantakwenda, and Banyabindi of Western Uganda. Can we move now to adopt Decision 13, Com 7, B15? No objection, adopted. The report from Vietnam on Katuru singing. Any objection? I therefore declare Decision 13, Com 7B 16 adopted.
Now we have to suspend. We move to item 8. So we have to suspend. We cannot do the Sheplo yet until we come back since Armenia is not ready.
At this juncture, we will have to suspend this item, awaiting that we take a decision on the report of Azerbaijan. And we have therefore to move to the next item on the agenda, awaiting further development for Azerbaijan. We now move to item 7C, which is the last sub-item under item 7, reports of state parties on the use of international assistance from the Intangible Cultural Heritage Fund. As you can imagine, this is an important means to take stock of the implementation of the convention on the ground. May I kindly ask the Secretary to present to us this item. Mr. Secretary, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Article 24.3 of the Convention provides that the beneficiary state parties shall submit to the Committee a report on the use made of the assistance provided for the safeguarding of the intangible cultural heritage. At this session, 10 of those reports are presented, which have been submitted between 1st of July 2017 and 30th of June 2018. Through the hyperlinks in the first table of document C, you will find reports that are available either in English or French. They are final reports for these projects and have been completed, and they are final reports for those projects that have been completed and progress reports for those still undergoing implementation. Summaries of these reports can also be found in the annex to this document. Actually, these reports represent only a portion of the ongoing projects. The second table in the document includes a list of all ongoing projects, which makes it a total of 33 active projects for a total amount of 3.3 million. So, shall we now look more closely into the current status of the implementation of the international assistance mechanism? Since the establishment of the procedure for international assistance, 43 states parties have been granted financial assistance for a total amount of 5.42 million in support of 82 projects. During the current reporting period between July 2017 and June 2018, 64% of the requests approved were submitted by African states. This represents $3.47 million of assistance granted, which is in line with UNESCO's global priority for Africa. It is also encouraging to see that 50% of the granted requests during this period are from states that have benefited from international assistance for the first time. As a global trend, the international assistance mechanism is experiencing a broadened scope of projects financed by the fund. Even though inventorying continues to be an important thematic focus, projects are becoming increasingly comprehensive. They cover a wide range of safeguarding actions, such as awareness raising, inventorying, and capacity building. Another new development is the inclusion of intangible cultural heritage in education as an emerging theme under the fund. Projects propose to develop pedagogical materials, courses, and degree programs specializing in ICH. Through the funded projects, we also observed that capacity building interventions have been an effective implementation modality as they respond directly to the needs of states to develop the necessary knowledge and skills for safeguarding. In this way, the international assistance mechanism is clearly being utilized to strengthen capacities and provide concrete support to national safeguarding efforts. It is consequently becoming a critical component of the implementation of the Global Capacity Building Program of the 2003 Convention. In other cases, certain states have required more substantive support and guidance from UNESCO in carrying out their international assistance projects. In light of this need for additional support, UNESCO field officers are currently working with states to implement projects through an alternative modality of provision of services from UNESCO, which differs from the mere granting of financial. At this point, I cannot but stress the importance of monitoring and the implementation of international assistance projects. Although the submitted reports are useful to have a quick glance at the project result, it is not so easy to assess the outcomes of the projects in a more systematic and robust manner. The creation of the new team dedicated to the implementation of the IA mechanisms is both crucial and timely. The support for substantive monitoring and evaluation of the project provided by this team will indeed help states to safeguard their intangible cultural heritage in the long term. Before I end my presentation, there is just one last emerging trend to share related to international assistance, and this is the increasing number of multiple requests of less than $100,000 submitted by a single country. I don't wish to go into any details here, as you will discuss this issue more extensively under item 12. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
So now many states want to talk about their projects.
Thank you,
we have to look out.
Secretary. I now open the floor for discussion on the report as presented. And I wish, first of all, from committee members, whether they want to respond on the report, or whether there are any clarification which is requested.
We should look for these countries.
Or else, if no committee members wishes to take the floor, may I also request state parties who wishes to share with us.
After the decision.
Yes, I believe that we should first of all move for the decision. May I invite committee members to adopt the decision, which is document ITH 1813-7C. We have it now on the screen. Colombia, please.
Compartir. Gracias, presidente. Nosotros quisiéramos compartir con el comité la experiencia que tuvimos en la implementación de un proyecto sobre la salvaguardia de los conocimientos tradicionales para la protección de los sitios sagrados de jaguares del Yurupari. Esta es una manifestación que fue inscrita en la lista y que estuvimos trabajando en este proyecto desde junio de 2017 hasta febrero de 2018, gracias al apoyo del Fondo de Asistencia para la Salvaguardia del Patrimonio Cultural Inmaterial por un valor de $25.000 y Colombia aportó a este proyecto $15.000. Es un proyecto muy importante para nosotros porque el territorio en el que trabajamos es un territorio de muy difícil acceso, es un territorio muy extenso y cuyos costos para el desarrollo de cualquier actividad pues es de gran magnitud, y bajo este proyecto pudimos cobijar 6 comunidades en el río del Pirá-Paraná, el sistema del Amazonas. En el sistema de conocimientos tradicionales de jaguares del Yurupari es un conocimiento ancestral orgánico para las múltiples comunidades indígenas de este territorio. Ellos consideran que este territorio es un pulmón del mundo y es uno de los lugares sagrados del mundo entero, y en ese sentido este sistema de conocimientos es una manera de cuidar, proteger y administrar este territorio. Y los portadores, que son los chamanes, se les llama jaguares del Yurupari. Aquí entonces, entre otras amenazas para esta manifestación, hay una relación muy asimétrica entre las comunidades indígenas y las comunidades occidentales del territorio, y en ese sentido se ha debilitado la organización social de estas comunidades, sus espacios culturales, la transmisión de conocimientos tradicionales en torno a este sistema de conocimientos y otros elementos culturales, y también se ha generado un gran desconocimiento de los sitios sagrados del territorio y sobre todo la importancia de estos sitios sagrados. En este sentido, pues el proyecto se centró en trabajar directamente con investigadores y líderes indígenas jóvenes, la mayoría de ellos, en 6 comunidades, y uno de los elementos principales era retomar la importancia de los sitios sagrados en el territorio, haciendo con las comunidades una serie de rituales y también solicitando permiso a los sitios sagrados para que pudiésemos seguir desarrollando el plan especial de salvaguardia de esta manifestación. También hicimos una recolección de saberes con los sabedores tradicionales, con los adultos mayores y también con los jóvenes, y en esto también hicimos expediciones durante todo el territorio con las diferentes comunidades y una serie de talleres. Dentro de los principales resultados que tuvimos en esto fue que entrenamos 24 jóvenes indígenas que están siendo aprendices de las autoridades tradicionales en la investigación endógena y en la defensa de los sitios sagrados, y también desarrollamos 6 cartillas bilingües en español y diferentes lenguas indígenas de la zona, que serán no solamente un material pues, para el conocimiento propio de la cultura en el territorio, pero también servirá como material pedagógico en los espacios educativos para las 1.800 personas que habitan el Pirá Paraná. Este proyecto para nosotros fue una muestra de cómo el patrimonio cultural inmaterial es un elemento para el fortalecimiento de las comunidades, pero también para el desarrollo propio de los territorios según sus condiciones. Muchas gracias.
Can we now move to adopt the document?
No,
as a whole.
No, it's not as a whole, it's paragraph.
Okay.
Paragraph 1.
Paragraph 1. The citation adopted. Paragraph 2, recalling the Convention's article regarding international assistance, adopted. Paragraph 3, welcoming the dynamism of African countries with regard to the assistance mechanism, adopted. Paragraph 4, thanking all countries. I believe there's no objection. Adopted. Paragraph 5, appreciating the new trends and emerging themes. Adopted. Paragraph 6, consider that the committee has no objection to acknowledging the promising results of the emergency international assistance and encouragement to Colombia, Côte d'Ivoire, and Niger. Adopted. Paragraph 7, the committee expresses its support to the alternative modality. Adopted. Paragraph 8, regarding the alignment effort of the reporting period. I see no objection. Adopted. Paragraph 9, to finally express our satisfaction towards the reinforcement of human capacities of the Secretariat. Adopted. We have now adopted each of the paragraphs, and we need to adopt the decision as a whole. Decision 13-7C adopted. Before moving to the next item, I know that among the countries who have benefited from international assistance and completed their projects, some wish to share with us their experience. May I therefore give the floor to Botswana,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since Botswana is taking the floor for the first time, we would like to thank Mauritius for hosting this important meeting and for the warm hospitality. The earthenware pottery making skills in Botswana's Gauteng district was nominated in 2010 and inscribed in 2012. It was sponsored, the 2010 research was sponsored by the Flanders in Trust Fund. Botswana applied for international assistance to implement the safeguarding plan in 2014 and was granted in November 2016 to Puteriko Museum. The project was supervised by Gauteng District Intangible Cultural Heritage Committee and the Botswana National ICH Committee. The practitioners of the element were involved in designing and planning the safeguarding plan. All the 4 master potters identified in 2010 were crucial in implementing the project. These include the 100-year-old Masekwa Makhatle, 71-year-old Mapula Rapekenene, 32-year-old Sarau Tukile, and 27-year-old Tumediso Muteni. Community involvement also includes engagement with community members in 21 villages out of 23 villages. Traditional leadership and village development committees of the said villages were also consulted and took part in the implementation of the project. Challenges associated with the implementation of the project include the following. We had targeted 20 youth to be trained, but only managed to get 17. Lack of adherence to taboos associated with the element. Delay in the development of educational materials, which led to 3 months extension of the project. 21 trainees instead from across the district were trained, including 3 males and 1 female living with disability. The project achieved several milestones, and these include the following. Consultations, research, and identification of youth trainees was held in 21 out of 23 villages targeted. The Department of National Museum and Monuments contributed $8,000 for labor costs to fence the cultural space. Gauteng District ICH, Gauteng District Council facilitated labor and ensured fencing was done. 12 new living human treasures were discovered. Trainees successfully mounted an exhibition which was widely covered by the media. Educational materials like booklets, audiovisuals, and brochures were developed. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Botswana, for sharing with us your experience. Do we have Colombia
has a film to show
with a video or photos? Is Colombia ready to present something to us? Yes, Colombia.
Gracias, señor presidente. Pues ya presentamos nuestros avances. Quisiéramos proyectar un video muy corto en el que vamos a dar una contextualización del territorio para que el comité lo pueda conocer mejor, pero pues ya presentamos nuestros avances en este proyecto. Muchas gracias. Y el video.
Nosotros somos gente de la selva, de la tierra, del mismo aire. Históricamente hemos protegido el medio ambiente. Somos como los guardianes, los protectores de la naturaleza. Nosotros somos dueños del conocimiento universal. Allá habitamos diferentes grupos étnicos que hablamos diferentes lenguas. Cada grupo étnico tiene su propia manera de manejar el mundo, su propia forma de hacer las curaciones, pero todos compartimos un mismo sistema de manejo. Así como nosotros tenemos órganos vitales para el funcionamiento del cuerpo, el territorio también los tiene. esos órganos importantes del territorio son los llamados sitios sagrados. Están los caños, están las lagunas, están las lomas, están las piedras.
The project is aimed at safeguarding the knowledge associated with the stewardship of sacred sites of the Jaguar shamans of Yurupari, who settled in the Pira and Paraná River in southeastern Colombia. The project includes fieldwork conducted by indigenous youth groups in sacred sites, the processing and mapping of information on those sacred sites, and the publication of 6 bilingual booklets.
Thank you, Colombia. May we now move to the project of El Salvador, whom I understand also have a video to share with us. El Salvador, please.
Yes, gracias, señor presidente. Gracias, secretario. Queremos presentar el proyecto denominado Titastagetzagan, hablando a través del tiempo, tradición oral y uso de las TIC, desarrollado por el personal de la Dirección de Patrimonio Cultural Inmaterial, auspiciado por UNESCO. Se capacitó a los jóvenes de diferentes áreas para realizar el trabajo de campo e identificar la tradición oral para su documentación. Se instruyeron en la práctica de las tecnologías de la información y la comunicación TIC, obteniendo productos como video y uso de las herramientas web para la promoción del PCI local. Esta iniciativa permitió que los jóvenes accedieran a conocimientos transmitidos de generación en generación sobre historia, mitología, cuentos y leyendas del municipio, a través de entrevistas realizadas y a los abuelos y abuelas de la comunidad, en este caso los portadores de cultura. Además, se adquirieron habilidades que abonan a sus procesos académicos y a su propia vida, siendo el propósito la concientización sobre la cultura de su comunidad para valorarla y salvaguardarla. Y a continuación veremos una muestra de un video de todo el trabajo que se realizó durante el proyecto Titastagetzagan.
Qué buenas cosas ha aprendido del taller.
¿Y usted sabe quiénes fueron los que trajeron ese idioma?
Panuget na tu testeguna tu tatanoy, panuget hasta tehemet, yahiga tehemet igualit titastagetos kiane.
Nawi katka kianegat katina. Katka niganti mo pastiyat maya yuni haral chichintik manat gatka wantigunit ne yayo taman.
Thank you, El Salvador. May I now ask our friend from Kenya to share with us a video which I understand they're going to be shown.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Kenya wishes to congratulate you on your election as the chair to this committee. We also wish to express our gratitude to the government and people of Mauritius for their hospitality. The project we are presenting was granted in 2016 and completed by December 2017. The aim of the project was to help in the sustainable conservation of the technology of pottery making processes, a cultural tradition that was coming to an extinction due to the introduction of plastics, metals, and formal education in 3 locations around Mount Kenya region, namely Mbere, Tigania, and Tharaka. The achievements of the project are as outlined below. Research on pottery making was conducted in all the 3 areas. It was recorded in both video and print, which resulted in a DVD production and printed booklets. 5 groups were registered to enhance pottery making practices. 5 kilns were established. 5 potters were taken to an area for a factory making area within the outskirts of Nairobi. They were each trained for 7 days, after which they came back to teach members of their group. This activity was carried in 3 schools of the 3 locations. A total of 350 children were trained. A total of 67 adults and children were trained during a village workshop that was held. In terms of education, 200 booklets and DVDs on pottery making were produced. I think we now wish to request that we present a short documentary that was presented during that period. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Pottery making in Kenya is a craft that began almost 8,000 years ago. This art of working with clay using hands and fingers with basic hand tools produced beautiful pots and other clay forms. However, the once vibrant village life pastime economic activity is slowly being replaced by the entry of cheaper and more durable factory-produced metal cooking pots and plastics. A group of women potters from Kiaritha village, Ishiara, have taken upon themselves to revive this old tradition with support from UNESCO in collaboration with the National Museums of Kenya. It so happens that this village is among the few remaining still engaging in making traditional pots. Ishiara is located within Tharaka Nithi and Embu counties in the larger Mount Kenya region. The women in this village have been making pottery since childhood, hence the craft is inherited and passed on through kinship.
Thank you, Kenya. I understand that Lesotho wishes to share some photos with us. Can I have somebody from Lesotho to take the floor, please? Lesotho?
Yes? Yeah.
Please, you have the floor.
Okay. First, let me thank you, Mr. Chairman, for this opportunity. Since Lesotho is taking the floor for the first time, we'd also like to congratulate Mauritius for hosting this important event and for their warm hospitality. As a country, like many of us who will and have been sharing their experiences as beneficiaries under UNESCO's international assistance, on behalf of the Kingdom of Lesotho, we appreciate the support by UNESCO, where we received a financial support for the inventorying of intangible cultural heritage elements in Tawabusiu, which was approved in 2016 and then implemented in 2017. The project was supervised by our regional expert, Mr. Lovemore Masiboko from Malawi, our 2 national ICH coordinators, Department of Culture, as well as Lesotho National Commission for UNESCO. The project covered 9 communities within Tawabusiu, You may wish to know that Tababusu is a historical landmark for Lesotho as it is a founding fountain for the Lesotho nation. The objective of the project was to contribute to the safeguarding of intangible cultural heritage in Lesotho and to raise awareness among stakeholders such as communities as custodians, practitioners, as well as civil society. It was within this project where, as a country, we were able to capacitate 15 community members as researchers and field workers, as well as 5 officials from Department of Culture. The selection of participants took care of gender balance, and it was also composed of youth from 9 communities. The idea being to instill knowledge about the importance of ICH and its viability. Basically, there are about 24 elements that have been inventorized and documented and are now accessible on our national ICH database. 2 of those are the ones being projected on the screen. The idea behind the selection of these 2 elements is that they have currently been selected or considered by the consent communities for possible inscription under UNESCO's representative list. To wrap up, this project was implemented within 5 months. However, we had some challenges as we were not able to meet the deadline because of the unforeseen circumstances, which were led by a late acquisition of funds, this led to the delay in implementation of other activities. This also impacted on the production of some of the informational material and photographic exhibition. Nonetheless, as a country, we benefited in expanding the level of expertise on ICH, as well as updating our national ICH database. However, as a country, we feel need to reinforce our safeguarding plans, awareness, and revitalization in order to increase our safeguarding measures and appreciation of ICH, as well as its viability. In this regard, I wish to thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you, Lesotho. Our friends from Malawi will also share with us their experience.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the opportunity accorded to us to share our experiences regarding the project titled Safeguarding of Chewa, Ngonde, and Tumbuka Proverbs and Folktales, funded, of course, by UNESCO under the ICH Fund. Since we are taking the floor for the first time, allow us as well to thank the government of the Republic of Mauritius for the warm welcome and hospitality according to our delegation since we arrived in this great country. Mr. Chair, you will recall that at its 10th committee meeting held in Windhoek, Namibia, 2015, Malawi was granted an amount to implement the above project. We have the video which is going to run for a few seconds, but the objectives of the project were to build capacity for documenting ICH, to improve the safeguarding of proverbs and folktales, but most importantly, to transmit the documented proverbs and folktales to the young generations. Activities of the project included identification of informants and research assistants, training them on inventorying, collecting and recording proverbs and folktales, translation of proverbs and folktales, development and printing of books on proverbs and folktales, development and printing of dictionaries, conducting storytelling sessions, and lastly, developing materials for TV programs. The results, just a snapshot, we managed to collect 150 proverbs and folktales. We also managed to publish 6 books, 3 on proverbs and 3 on folktales. We also managed to print 3,000 books on the same, 3 dictionaries in the 3 local languages. 1,500 dictionaries were printed, i.e. 500 dictionaries for each language. And we also held 90 storytelling sessions at the National Library in Lilongwe. We also run television programs on the documented folktales and proverbs, mainly with the national broadcaster. The project has since been disposed of. Reports, including financial statements, were already submitted to UNESCO, and we would like to take this opportunity to thank UNESCO for the support, and we look forward to future programs. With these few remarks, Mr. Chair, I beg to move.
Thank you, Malawi.
Adishi.
Yo.
Kale kale kudali bantu.
Tilitose.
Pokalako anthu adali munthu ndi mwamuna ndi mkazi wake.
Tilitose.
Adakwatilana.
Tilitose.
Pokalikwatilana makhala nyumba imodzi.
Tilitose.
Nyumba muja nkutuluka mimba.
Tilitose.
Tatuluka mimba nkubereka lichofu mwana.
Tilitose.
Osati mwana mwene.
Tilitose.
Lichofu lija anakataya mu msinje.
Tilitose.
Anabwerezaso munthu ija akudandaula.
Tilitose.
Kukuta soyina mimba.
Tilitose.
Nkuberekaso lichofu lija.
Tilitose.
Iyeyu ja akudandaulabe nkupita ukatayaso ku mchinje.
Tilitose.
Adaona kuti zopanda ntchito kwa iye.
Tilitose.
Anabwerezaso nyumba muja nkukuta soyina mimba.
Tilitose.
Nkuberekaso mwana lichofu.
Tilitose.
Nkukatayaso.
Tilitose.
Kenaka akudandaliracho nchija Mulungu anamvera.
Tilitose.
Nkukuta ina mimba nkubereka mwana mwene.
Tilitose.
Mwana yuja nkukula.
Tilitose.
Atakula mwana yuja basi nkumakhala nayo nanga siwapata mwana.
Tilitose.
Vula nayo yabwera.
Tilitose.
Nena kakokolola zinthu zijo kathira mala amodzi.
Tilitose.
Yapo dathira mala amodzi basi pamalo paja nkutuluka mitengo iya namndolo.
Tilitose.
Ndena mndolo yuja wamakula mpaka ubereka vipacho.
Tilitose.
Atabereka vipacho basi vipacho vija vidakhwima.
Tilitose.
Namndolo pakuta mthyole ukuti wakome wamafiira pathupi pake.
Tilitose.
Ukhala kuti chapano ndiwo zakwanira.
Tilitose.
Thank you, Malawi. Now we come to Zambia. Zambia is with us and is going to share the experience.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Although Zambia has been a member of the committee, I'm actually attending this meeting for the first time. And on that score, please allow me on my behalf to say thank you to you, the government, and the people of Mauritius for welcoming us and for showing us a bit of your cultural heritage, which was really enjoyed, as could be evidenced by the people who joined in the dance. Also, allow me to thank you, Mr. Chair, that you've not only preserved the culture, but also making attempts at preserving the green spaces. Driving from the airport and seeing all the green spaces was breathtaking, so thank you very much. We were honored to have been part of the historic moment yesterday, and more so for us from Zambia, a country that is known for its peace. It was gratifying to note and see how culture can bridge barriers and contribute to the process of peace as we saw between the two Korea countries. Please allow me on that note to report on the project that Zambia undertook. In 2016, we benefited from the Intangible Cultural Heritage Fund through the International Assistance Project when we were granted $25,000, mainly for the inventorying of proverbs of the Lala ethnic group of Loano district in the central part of Zambia. This is a small tribe which actually had its origins from Congo, but along the way they picked up a lot of cultural aspects which were under threat of disappearing because of certain things that were happening in the area that they are. The project ran from September 2016 to September 2017. And all in all, despite the challenges that the project faced, we actually achieved the objectives of the project. We had to deal with the rough terrain where vehicles could not reach. The implementing team had to become innovative. Sometimes they walked, sometimes had to ride and ride bicycles to reach certain people that were key in the project. There were issues, being a rural place, there were issues with power sources, and they had to innovate as well in making sure that they captured all that was required. And one of the unexpected challenge was the translation from Lala into English. But they had to repeatedly ask for explanation so that the proverbs could be translated into English. But all in all, 20 custodians and practitioners were trained by UNESCO accredited facilitators in inventorying intangible cultural heritage, and in this case, focusing on the Lala proverbs. Through the practical exercises carried out during the training, participants successfully inventoried 31 Lala proverbs, which are now part of the national ICH inventory. And to ensure the transmission of the inventoried ICH, the project implementers engaged teachers from various schools in the area. They engaged community leaders, headmen in the district to create cultural groups. And I must hasten to say here that these cultural groups, although were present on paper in the school, but were really not active. But through this project, these clubs have become very active and are being used to promote education, cultural education to the children and the youth. And they're also using established traditional structures to pass on the tradition. There was no definite inventory at the time of the project starting up in Luano, but this project has come up with an inventory, and one of the outputs is soon to be published, a 31-page booklet entitled Proverbs of the Lala Ethnic Group in Central Africa, Central Zambia. There is now an existing ICH committee to ensure that this is going to be kept on. We are going to keep an eye on the ICH. And the involvement of gatekeepers has been deemed as one of the exercises because they are the ones who are enforcing the education and the cultural groups to be going on. So we're really grateful to UNESCO for having provided the funds for the project to be run, and we look forward for continued partnership as we bring more inventories to the committee. I would like to thank you once again, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Zambia. I would like to thank all of you for keenly sharing your experience with us. Sorry, I understand that we missed our friend from Ivory Coast, Côte d'Ivoire.
Oui, Monsieur le Président.
Mille excuses. We are going to hear Côte d'Ivoire, please. Allez-y.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. C'est la première fois que la Côte d'Ivoire prend la parole, donc je voudrais avant tout remercier les autorités mauriciennes de leur aimable hospitalité. Nos remerciements vont également à l'endroit de l'UNESCO, qui ayant consenti à accorder un appui financier de 299 972 $ américains, a rendu possible l'inventaire du PCI présent en Côte d'Ivoire en vue de sa sauvegarde urgente. Débuté en 2016, la mise en œuvre de cet inventaire a été bénéfique à la Côte d'Ivoire à plus d'un titre. 2016, la mise en œuvre de cet inventaire a été bénéfique à la Côte d'Ivoire à plus d'un titre. 2016, la mise en œuvre de cet inventaire a été bénéfique à la Côte d'Ivoire à plus d'un titre. 2016, la mise en œuvre de cet inventaire a été bénéfique à la Côte d'Ivoire à plus d'un titre. 2016, la mise en œuvre de cet inventaire a été bénéfique à la Côte d'Ivoire à plus d'un titre. 2016, la mise en œuvre de cet inventaire a été bénéfique à la Côte d'Ivoire à plus d'un titre. 2016, la mise en œuvre de cet inventaire a été bénéfique à la Côte d'Ivoire à plus d'un titre. 2016, la mise en œuvre de cet inventaire a été bénéfique à la Côte d'Ivoire à plus d'un titre. 2016, la mise en œuvre de cet inventaire a été bénéfique à la Côte d'Ivoire à plus d'un titre. 2016, la mise en œuvre de cet inventaire a été bénéfique à la Côte d'Ivoire à plus d'un titre. 20 Certains professionnels de l'action culturelle, les communautés et même des universitaires ont découvert avec intérêt en cette occasion la notion du PCI, la sensibilisation et le renforcement des capacités, ainsi que la documentation des éléments avec leur implication aidant. Les communautés ont véritablement pris conscience de la valeur de leur PCI. C'est la première fois qu'un inventaire systématique est réalisé en Côte d'Ivoire, avec un maillage total de toutes les 32 régions administratives du pays, ce qui a donné comme résultat l'identification et la documentation d'environ 800 éléments fort variés du PCI présents sur le territoire national. Aujourd'hui, le pays dispose d'à peu près 500 personnes, hommes et femmes, ayant leur capacité renforcée sur la Convention 2003 et le travail d'inventaire participatif, des personnes suffisamment outillées pour mener à bien un inventaire du PCI et élaborer des mesures de sauvegarde pour des éléments qui le nécessitent. L'inventaire a permis de confirmer l'impact de la crise post-électorale de 2010 sur certains éléments du PCI et le caractère urgent de leur sauvegarde. C'est le cas de la destruction à Bangolo dans l'ouest du pays, des enclos des masques sacrés, espace exclusif d'initiation à la pratique dans cette localité et qui a amené le ministère de la Culture à octroyer de façon exceptionnelle aux praticiens des moyens nécessaires à leur reconstitution. L'analyse des éléments inventoriés a permis de comprendre qu'en dépit de la diversité culturelle qui caractérise la Côte d'Ivoire, nous retrouvons des similitudes au niveau de certains éléments des 4 aires ethno-culturelles et linguistiques, ce qui nous permet d'affirmer que les communautés vivant en Côte d'Ivoire ne sont pas aussi différentes et devraient s'accepter et vivre ensemble. Oui, le PCI peut contribuer à renforcer la cohésion sociale. Cependant, la mise en œuvre de cet inventaire a connu quelques difficultés. Le non-respect du chronogramme préétabli, dû entre autres à certains événements survenus au niveau national, à savoir la grève générale des fonctionnaires et agents de l'État, durant tout le mois de janvier 2017, les dernières élections municipales et régionales tenues les mois de septembre et octobre 2018 qui ont mobilisé la plupart des acteurs de l'opération d'inventaire. Des dépenses non comprises dans le budget initial de l'inventaire se sont avérées indispensables sur le terrain lors de la phase 1, frais de rituels et de protocoles nécessaires à l'identification et la documentation de certains éléments, des frais de transport et de subsistance des équipes d'inventaire, ce qui a amené l'État à réévaluer sa contrepartie financière. En accord donc avec le secrétariat de la Convention, la phase 2 a été scindée en 2 parties pour mener à bien l'opération. La Côte d'Ivoire tient à remercier tout particulièrement le secrétariat de la Convention pour son encadrement constant tout au long de cet inventaire du PCI présent sur son territoire. Je vous remercie. Je voudrais donc vous inviter à présent à suivre un PAD confectionné à l'occasion. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Merci beaucoup, Côte d'Ivoire. Et merci. Vous savez.
L'inventaire du patrimoine culturel immatériel présent en Côte d'Ivoire, en vue de sa sauvegarde urgente rendue possible par l'assistance de l'UNESCO, s'est déroulé autour de plusieurs activités dont il convient de présenter quelques-unes. La sensibilisation de toutes les parties prenantes au projet, particulièrement les communautés, a été très importante. Instruites de façon pratique sur le PCI, sa valeur et la nécessité d'en faire l'inventaire pour sa sauvegarde, elles ont été invitées notamment à faire connaître leurs chants et danses, leurs pratiques sociales et rituelles, leurs jeux, leur savoir-faire nécessaire à l'artisanat traditionnel et ont donné leur accord.
Je vais demander à mes parents d'ouvrir toutes les portes pour pouvoir recevoir les gens qui sont venus nous aider, pour pouvoir répondre à toutes les questions. Je dis merci à l'État, merci à l'UNESCO.
Avec leur implication, des coordinations régionales et des équipes d'inventaire ont été constituées et ont vu leur capacité renforcée sur la Convention de 2003 et le travail d'inventaire participatif. Ces organes ont collecté des données sur le terrain qui ont été consolidées, restituées et validées. En voici quelques résultats.
C'est ça qu'il a assis dedans là. C'est ça l'atelier. On prend 4 morceaux de bois. Maintenant.
Les acquis de l'inventaire sont encourageants car certaines communautés ont décidé de le poursuivre en se dotant de matériel technique plus performant pour la documentation de leur PCI.
Thank you. Merci Côte d'Ivoire. Et merci à tous qui ont partagé avec nous leurs expériences. Chers membres, maintenant on va prendre l'item 8 sur l'agenda. We move now to item 8 on the agenda, reform of the periodic reporting mechanism. This item is about the ongoing reform of the reporting mechanism under the 2003 Convention, which started after the 7th General Assembly in June last, with approval of the overall result framework and the revision of the operational directive. I now ask the Secretary to take the floor to shed some light on this item. Mr. Secretary, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. The periodic reporting mechanism, as has been mentioned, is currently undergoing a reform to enhance its quality, usefulness, and timeliness by aligning it in part to the overall results framework, which was approved at the 7th session of the General Assembly. The previous session of the committee requested the Secretariat to provide an update on the reform and on the transition period, which is supposed to last until 2020. Before I enter into details, I would like to thank the government of the Republic of Korea, as their generous contribution has allowed and is still allowing UNESCO to carry on the process of reforming the periodic reporting mechanism. This working document 8 is made up of 2 parts. The first part talks about the initiatives taken by the Secretariat towards this reform, and the second part of the document concerns the calendar for the first regional cycle of reporting. The Secretariat has proposed 2 options in this regard, and I will come back more on this point in a moment. Concerning the first part, I am pleased to report that the revision to the reporting form ICH 10 and the drafting of the guidance notes for the overall results framework are advancing well. These 2 aspects of the reform are moving in parallel because they are interrelated. This is because the advancements on the revision of the form should inform the preparedness of the guidance notes and vice versa. The other ongoing activities include the preparation of the capacity building approach and information materials, as well as the adoption of the existing online reporting tool. The progress on all of these activities will be reported to the next session of the committee in 2019. Concerning the reform, I would like to clarify several points. The statutory obligation for states parties to submit their periodic reports on the implementation of the Convention and on the elements inscribed on the representative list has been suspended for the deadlines of 15th of December 2018 and 2019. This is valid also for the states that were late in submitting their reports for the current or past cycles. The procedure for the reporting on the elements listed on the urgent safeguarding list will not change for now. In other words, USL reports remains a separate reporting system on a quadrennial and inscription year-based schedule. As already discussed under items 6 and 7b, a global reflection on the listing mechanisms of the 2003 Convention, as well as on the transfer and removal, will happen soon and will be an occasion to discuss the reporting on inscribed elements as well. The reporting procedure for states non-party to the Convention on elements inscribed on the representative list will not change. The Russian Federation, which is the only state in this situation, will have to report every 6 years on its 2 former masterpieces incorporated in 2008 on the representative list. The next report on these 2 elements is therefore expected by 15th of December 2020, according to paragraph 169 of the ODs. Let me now move to the second part of this item. The committee at the current session has to establish the calendar for the first regional cycle of reporting. First of all, I would like to flag something to you that has to be kept in mind when deciding on the calendar of reporting. One of the main advantages of moving the reporting cycle to a regional calendar rather than ratification-based calendar is the multiple opportunities it will offer for more efficient and targeted capacity building, including peer-to-peer, neighbor-to-neighbor technical assistance and cooperation. The document presents two options for the committee's consideration. Option 1 has been already briefly mentioned in the working document for the previous session of the committee concerning draft amendments to the operational directives on periodic reporting, ITH 18/12 document 10. This option consists of a 6-year reporting structure, with each year dedicated to one of the electoral groups as defined in the grouping of member states for the purpose of election to the executive board. In this scenario, the states parties of the first electoral group would start preparing their periodic reports in early 2020 and submit them to the Secretariat by the deadline of 15th December 2020. The committee will then examine these reports at its 16th COM at the end of 21. At the same time, the second electoral group would have started the preparation of reports in early 21 in order for them to be submitted by 15 December 21, and so on, with the other electoral groups until you get to 2026. You can refer to the classifications of the states as per electoral groups in Annex 1 of the document. Option 2 follows a suggestion put forward during the general debate on the amendments of Chapter 5 of the operational directives during 12COM on the intervention of a committee member. This scenario proposes to follow the same regional cycle of reporting as currently being followed by the 1972 Convention concerning the protection of the world cultural and natural heritage, with 5 regions defined according to the definitions of regions included in the UNESCO basic text with a view to the execution of regional activities. This scenario means that a 5-year calendar will be used with a 6-year. The 6th year would be dedicated to the evaluation of the periodic reporting mechanism and necessary revisions required before initiating again a new calendar. You may refer to the classification of the states along the 5 regions as listed in Annex 2 of the document. Another important aspect is to decide upon the order in which the electoral groups or the regions report. The Secretariat considers it important to avoid a situation whereby states parties would be reporting to the 1972 as well as the 2003 Convention in the same year or in 1 year immediately after each other. A space of 2 to 3 years between the reporting obligations of these two conventions seems beneficial so as to not overburden states parties in terms of workload and resources. Based on this consideration, 2 scenarios are possible. The option 1 scenario, in which state parties of electoral group 3, Latin American Caribbean, would start preparing their reports in early 2020, followed by group 1, then group 5B, group 5A, group 4, and then finally group 2. That is in the option 1 as it would be proposed. Option 2 is based on the definition of the 5 regions as per the Chapter 1 of the UNESCO basic texts, and according to this option, the Latin America and Caribbean region would also still initiate this new reporting cycle in 2020, followed by Europe in 2021, Arab states in 2022, Africa in 2023, and Asia and the Pacific in 2024, with 2025 being reserved as the reflection year before initiating the new cycle. I would also like to bring the attention of the committee to some additional points. Please note that the calendar to be established will only concern the first cycle. After the 6th year, the committee will have another chance to examine the situation before establishing the calendar for the second cycle. It is also important to mention that regardless of the option selected by the committee, states that newly ratified or ratified the convention during the transition period will be given due consideration in terms of the amount of time between ratification and their first report. In both options proposed, Latin America and the Caribbean countries will be the first to report in December 2020. If that order is confirmed, only 2 state parties out of 32, namely Jamaica and Mexico, that have reported this year as part of the last batch of reports examined by the committee under the old system, this year in item 7A, will have to report again in 2020, and the gap between their reports will be a gap of 3 years. Lastly, I would like to mention that prior to this session, the Secretariat has written to the chairperson of the Electoral Group 1 and the Electoral Group 2 with a letter dated 18th of October 2018, asking the chairpersons to kindly undertake a consultation with their respective group on the options that have been presented as regards the calendar for the first regional cycle of reporting. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I now open the floor. Does anybody wish to take the floor? Can we move to the decision? Yes, I believe that the Secretary has a point to clarify before.
If I may, just because I finished about the letter to the electoral groups, we have indeed received a draft amendments which we will be showing on the screen. Thank you.
As you can see, we have options in the draft decision in front of us that would require a decision of the committee. Nevertheless, let us proceed paragraph by paragraph. We start with paragraph 1, the citation. Any objection? Adopted. Paragraph 2, recalling relevant articles of the Convention. No objection. Adopted. Paragraph 3, further recalling relevant decisions of the committee and resolution of the GA. No objection. Adopted. Paragraph 4, taking notes of the debates at the 12th session of the committee and the 7th session of the General Assembly, as well as the ongoing reform of the periodic reporting mechanism. Adopted. Paragraph 5, welcoming the progress in the reform. Adopted. Paragraph 6, we thank the Republic of Korea for its contribution to support this reform. I see no objection. Adopted.
New paragraph 7 now follow here.
I understand that we have a new paragraph 7 proposed by Djibouti, which is now appearing on the screen. Yes, Palestine wishes to
just to support the paragraph proposed by Djibouti. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Well noted. Do we agree to the amendment as proposed by Djibouti and seconded by Palestine? I see no objection. Therefore, paragraph 7, as proposed by Djibouti, adopted. Paragraph 7, renumbered paragraph 8. No objection? Adopted. Now we come to the new paragraph 9, which has been 8, which has been renumbered 9. Can I ask the Secretary to guide us on that one, as regards the two options? Yes, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. As mentioned during the Bureau this morning, we received an email from the delegation of Austria with the corresponding state parties attached to their email, opting for the option 2 with amendments to the draft decision. I believe that most of those states were in the Bureau, but it was submitted with those states in copies. If there are any states who were in copy of the email and who wish to be added, or perhaps who wish to be removed, most of them are in the Bureau. The committee may wish to ascertain. Thanks.
Yes, I wish to have confirmation regarding the statement made by the Secretary. I see Palestine, vous voulez dire quelque chose?
Oui, simplement pour soutenir l'option 2 telle qu'amendée par l'ensemble des pays mentionnés. Merci.
Merci. Thank you very much, Palestine. We move now to, which means that paragraph 9. Yes, Lebanon. Le Liban, s'il vous plaît.
Thank you. I also would like to support paragraph 2, please.
Thank you. Which means that we adopt the new paragraph 9 as amended. No objection? Adopted. New paragraph 9.
Yes. This is the proposed cycle for the
under new paragraph 10, a proposed cycle regarding the calendar.
They still have to fix something on 11. That's right.
We now have under 10 the proposed calendar starting from 2020 to 2025, and the different regions. Any objection? I see none. Adopted. Paragraph 11. Which need to be corrected, and we have now the new paragraph 11 and the correction appearing on the screen. Can we now adopt the new paragraph 11 with all the corrections? Adopted. Now we move to adopt the whole decision under decision 13.8. Any objection? Decision 13.8 adopted as a whole. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, before you leave the room, I would like to give the floor to the Secretary for a few practical announcements. Mr. Secretary, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm very pleased to invite all of you for the roundtable that is being organized on the Global Facilitators Network related to the Global Capacity Building Program and how it supports countries with implementation of the Convention. Facilitators from the different regions will speak about their concrete experiences of facilitating capacity building activities in countries around the world. Please go to the Kestrel room on the first floor at 1:15 p.m. for this one-hour event. Furthermore, for those who have received financial assistance to attend the session, they are kindly requested to go to room Swan B during the lunch break today, as the Secretariat requires a signature of those who traveled under the fund. I repeat, the room is Swan B on this floor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I wish you bon appétit, and we resume at 2:30 p.m. Thank you.